news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
Good afternoon, I'm Andy Hooser. Well, the beginning of the fall school semester is only 5 weeks away, and many health officials are still encouraging students to get the COVID-19 vaccine, although it's not required for Wichita Public Schools. However, some doctors are recommending that you talk to your physician about vaccinations in general to get more information on how to keep your kids safe.
Sit down with their regular doctor to talk about it, find out what the vaccines would protect their child against, what horrible outcomes could occur if their child were to get that disease, unfortunately.
That was Dr. Amy Siri on KWCH News. There are still some required vaccinations for students to go back to school, including the Tdap, measles, mumps, and rubella, along with hepatitis A. In other news, one of Wichita's largest cemeteries is upgrading technology to make it easier to find your loved ones.
Eventually is going into the gardens and putting QR codes out where people will be able to find their loved ones.
That audio from KWCH News. They say all you'll have to do is open your smartphone's camera, point it at the code, and a link will pop up on where to find the person you're looking for. Now let's go to sports.
Ochai Agbaji is coming back to KU. It was announced earlier today that the KU forward would be coming back for his final season at the University of Kansas after withdrawing his name from the NBA draft pool. And speaking of the NBA Finals get started tonight with Game 1 between the Milwaukee Bucks on the road at the Phoenix Suns. The game will tip off at 8 o'clock on ABC. And tonight on KGSO at 7 o'clock, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals in town to face the wind surge. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Mason Voth.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Wichita area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Wichita.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, Mother's Day.
Ooh, gotta get one more gift at Kohl's. Nothing like the last minute.
The deals are great. You can get a $39.99 Amazon tablet and 60% off jewelry.
That's why I waited. You know, the deals.
I mean, 15% off and Kohl's Cash.
Gotta make Mom proud.
And don't forget, get it in an hour or less with free store pickup.
Yeah, procrastination really pays off.
15% offer ends May 16th. Some exclusions apply. See store at Kohl's.com for details.
Men and women, the sun does not discriminate, and that's why Hatman Jacks has sun protection for everybody. Without sun protection, you put your skin at risk, whether it's mowing, at the pool, golf, working in the garden, or fishing. Hatman Jacks reminds you when it comes to any outdoor activity, there's a hat for that, whether it's a tilly, a garden straw, fishing hats, and for summer style, dress it up with a straw fedora. Take care with sun protection from Hatman Jacks at the Clock Tower in Delano.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Going to take a look at Kansas and Oklahoma's closing cash grain bids. It is Tuesday, July 6th, and we saw some pretty ugly goings-on in the futures markets. Limit lower for corn at the end of the day. Kansas City wheat was down by 30-plus cents. Soybeans down by 89 and 90 cents. Not a good day in the futures markets, and it was not a good day in the cash markets either. Let's take a look at the numbers. We'll start at Sumner County, Kansas today, where the wheat finished at $5.70, corn $6.32, milo $6.12, soybeans $13.34. At Concordia, Kansas, the wheat $5.69, the corn $6.02, milo $5.95, soybeans $13.29. At Goodland, the wheat $5.53, the corn $6.27, milo $5.82, beans $13.09. Over to Garden City out west, the wheat $5.70, corn $6.37, milo $6.02, soybeans $12.83. At Fredonia, the wheat was at $5.53, the corn $6.47, the milo $6.12, the soybeans $13.29. At Belleville, the wheat finished at $5.59, the corn $5.92, the milo $5.85, and the soybeans $13.19. In Oklahoma, at Ponca City, the wheat finished the day at $5.55, corn $6.38, milo $6.12, beans $13.19. At Enid, the wheat was at $5.84, The corn $5.72, Milo $6.17, soybeans $13.24, and at Panhandle Hooker, the wheat $5.88, corn $6.72, Milo $6.02, beans $13.14. Do the averages? Here we go. Everything's sharply lower. $5.66 across Oklahoma and Kansas on wheat. That's down 36. Corn finished with an average of $6.24. That's down 40. Milo is at $6.02 on the average across the two states. That's down 47. Soybeans, look out. $13.17 across Oklahoma and Kansas on beans. That's down 90. Kansas and Oklahoma closing cash grain bids. Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers. Conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road. The Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Heating up this afternoon with daytime highs in Wichita climbing into the upper 80s, heat index value in the low 90s. Lots of sun and relatively limited wind out of the south at about 5 to 10. Tonight a few more clouds but remaining dry, a low near 70. Showers and storms a possibility on Wednesday, highs back in the mid 80s. With your forecast, I'm Cake meteorologist Frank Wong.
That's your latest Cake First Alert weather update on the Big Talker, KQAM.
At 4:06, it's currently 87 degrees.
Fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they liked to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I have a sense already this is going to be one of those really weird, wonky weeks where I think it's going to be a day behind because it's already Tuesday after the 4th of July celebrations. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station, but all over the country. Don't you worry, radio and TV, live streaming and podcasting. Wherever you may be watching or listening, we appreciate you more than anything else. We are ready. We are literally going to kick off July with a bang, as we did over the weekend with 4th of July. Hopefully you got to enjoy. We'll talk about the celebration here in just a little bit. So welcome in all over. We do have the live stream up and running right now on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch.tv, also on the LinkedIn and on the OurFreedomBook.com and Instagram and TikTok. I think I got all the social media, right? Instagram, TikTok, yeah. All plus the website at HooserReason.com. We have the live stream going on there at HooserReason.com. Boy, it's going to be a big show, which means we are kicking off a brand new month with a bang, so to speak, here on the program as well. At the bottom of the hour, excited to talk with Diane Douglas. She is a former Arizona superintendent of the public school district down in Arizona. The big question is public school systems, are the public school systems, apparently, because I went through them, are the public school systems reformable, or are they pretty much just as they're going to be and we can't fix them or reform them in any way, shape, or form? What we're getting right now, is that the best quality we are going to get from public schools? So we'll talk with Diane coming up at the bottom of the hour in just a little bit. But hopefully you had a wonderful 4th of July celebration. We took the day off yesterday as well with the best stuff for the program because we got to enjoy. We got to boom off very large, as Donald Trump would say. They're huge. They're bigly. They were the biggest ones you've ever seen in your entire life. We got to blow up some really big fireworks and had some fun there. So hopefully you got to do the same thing as well. What I love about it is that there are a few things in this world that bring a tear to my eye, that really bring a tear down, that really make me feel emotional in that sense, and that is, of course, patriotism, which is what most patriots are all about. We love hearing about it. With all the flaws that we have as a nation, with all the issues that we try and fight with all the political bickering that we have, can we at least come together one time a year where we wave the American flag, we're proud to be patriots, we're proud to be Americans, and we can all get along? Yeah, we all just love each other and get along once in a while, and usually 4th of July is the day where we can do that. Whether it happened or not, I don't know. I think it depends on what part of the country that you're actually in. What I was really curious about was whether we were going to get messages from the mainstream media about, well, we've already celebrated our independence, being the organization and being the movement that we saw just a month ago on Juneteenth. Well, we've already celebrated our independence as certain minority groups, so therefore you have your independence, we have ours. Because that's the way the left kind of played off the whole Juneteenth, making it a national holiday thing just a month ago. So I didn't see it, although I wasn't really looking for it in the headlines. But I was curious if that was going to pop up. That's your celebration, you white privileged jerks that you are that run this nation. We're going to celebrate our Juneteenth celebration over here, because I really didn't want to see that. I wanted to see true unity, true patriotism, and regardless of whatever heritage or background or whatever that you have, that we can all come together and just celebrate unity as a nation on 4th of July. And I think we got that. I think. I didn't hear any otherwise, but let's see. Super excited to talk about our next guest here as we talk about racism in this country, the white privilege movement that's going on, this critical race theory that's going on, which we'll talk about in the school district at the bottom of the hour as well. It's a big issue because this is really, I think, in the country, our number one dividing issue at this time. Other than Donald Trump, that's just, Donald Trump. So I'm excited to have on the program. He is the author of the book, Facing Reality, 2 Truths About Race in America. Super excited to have on here Mr. Charles Murray with us here. Charles, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Good. I appreciate
4th of July.
Yeah, happy 4th of July to you. I really appreciate you coming on the program, being that you literally wrote the book on this one. Let's talk about it. Did you hear it? I mean, as you focus on this issue and you've written about the 2 truths about race in America, did we see a divide? Did you see a divide over 4th of July holiday? Did some people try and run away with the Juneteenth as their own independence? How did you see it?
I had a weird experience. I mean, it was a wonderful experience. I was in a very blue restaurant in a blue upper-class town, classic upper-class town. I'm sure it voted 80% for Biden. But it was a very crowded restaurant. And in the middle of with all the noise, this folk singer started to sing the Star-Spangled Banner quietly, no fanfare. And within a few seconds, the whole room had quieted. Everybody stood. Almost everybody had their hand over their heart, singing along, and broke into wild cheers at the end. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe one day a year anyway. It was a good feeling to see that in that kind of town, which I'm sure has that kind of politics.
Wow. Way to go. You brought a tear to my eye first off, right off the show here. So appreciate that. That's a really great story. I love hearing that. Your book, 2 Truths About Race in America. Let's talk about them. What are the 2 truths? Because right now what we're hearing is that we should dismantle the Constitution. We should not listen to the Founding Fathers. We should disregard all of that mindset because they were property owners, they were slave owners, and they were white privileged rich men. So therefore, everything they said should go out the window. Is that the truth of race in America?
Well, I wrote the book because that was the narrative that was coming out last July with the protests and the riots and so forth. It's all racism, systemic racism. And I said, well, it's a lot more complicated than that. And one of the truths I talk about in the book has to do with policing. It is a statement of fact. It's not right-wing propaganda. It's a statement of fact that violent crime is much higher in black communities than it is in white communities. And when police go into a low-income black community especially, they are facing an environment in which they have to establish their authority more forcefully. They have to call for backup sooner. They're facing threats that they don't face elsewhere. Not to say that there are no racist cops. I am saying you can't understand differences in policing unless you understand differences in the environment. The second thing is there were all these complaints about, Google doesn't have enough black African-American senior managers. Well, let me get this straight. There's a difference in cognitive ability in the means, the races. That doesn't mean that there aren't brilliant African-Americans. There are lots of them. Millions of blacks are smarter than millions of whites. But it is also a fact, just simply an empirical statement, that the numbers coming out that are eligible to interview at the high levels of Google doesn't meet the demand. There's a much higher demand for such people than can be supplied. So we're looking at labor market issues, not racism. Glad to get that across.
That's an interesting point for sure. Now, of course, the deeper question is why? Why do we have that gap? And is it because of a public education system? Is it because of a lack of opportunities? Where's this lack of coming from when you try to go and interview at a position, like you said, with like Google, for example, and there's just that disparring difference there?
You know what, Andy, those are important questions. But the problem is people think, if they have a solution, it's only temporary, it'll go away. That does not change the situation facing a police patrolman tomorrow.
Right.
And if you're talking about the news tomorrow, it's the existence of the difference that we have to come to grips with. If you're talking about who's getting hired tomorrow, it doesn't make any difference if we have a magic plan to get rid of the differences in 10 years.
Yeah.
What we're facing tomorrow is a real difference. And so I'm saying to people, let's have lots of arguments about the causes. That's fine. Let's confront the reality that exists today, which is why the title of the book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it really is. It's two completely different solutions for the issues, isn't it? I mean, with the education long-term starting at the younger age to bring them up, give opportunities, reform some of the public support systems or public programs in some way, shape, or form to allow opportunity. But that's, like you said, kind of the seed being planted for a 10 to 20-year plan, as opposed to an issue we have immediately. I mean, we're looking at two completely different solutions for the different issues right now.
Yeah, and so the center-left and the center-right can argue about the right solutions. That's fine. And the center-left can say, this is all a matter of deprivation that we can overcome, so forth. Great. But let's agree right this minute that you can't ascribe these problems to systemic racism. And that's really my message, Andy. This is not a systemically racist country.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. We're talking with Charles Murray. You can visit him online at counterbooks.com and see some of this, Facing Reality, 2 Truths About Race in America. As we do start, do you think that we're getting better at these? As you mentioned, we're not systematically racist, but there are some issues that we're working out, some of the kinks in the system. Have you seen over time, are we getting better at these, or are we still kind of stumbling over ourselves here?
I think we made a huge mistake close to 60 years ago when we went for aggressive affirmative action. What Martin Luther King was asking for, and he and his fellow African Americans deserved, was a fair shake, and that's what he wanted. And we went to this aggressive affirmative action, whereby we say, well, we'll have different standards for different groups of people. That's un-American in a very fundamental way. What America historically about was treating people as individuals.
Yeah.
And I think we've departed very far from that. And the sad thing is, we hear all this stuff about systemic racism and it's all the whites' fault. I bet 90% of African Americans, 90% of Latinos, and 90% of whites say what we really want is a colorblind society where everybody gets a fair shake, no matter what their race is. And I'd like to see those 90% start speaking up against those who would say, "Oh, it's we've got to treat each other as groups."
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, I think a lot of people are starting to, and we're starting to wake up to that. I mean, we hear individuals like celebrities that are just like, you know what, I don't want to talk about race. If you want to end racism, we don't want to mention skin color. We just want to talk about your character, as Martin Luther King had mentioned. I want to judge you based on your character and whether you're a jerk to me or whether you're cool to me, and I'll judge you based on that, not based on your skin color. Most people, I think, want to talk that way, but when conservatives, for especially like when I mention that and say, I don't want to talk about race, then I'm just denying the issues and I'm just in denial and I just don't want to look at it. I don't want to face these issues and I'm just in my white privilege little bubble thing, and I get attacked for it as opposed to moving forward. So these conversations of systematic racism and bringing up division and identity politics, that's kind of harming the cause more than helping it right now, isn't it?
This is the problem, that you have the mainstream media, New York Times, Washington Post, all the networks. They bought into the systemic racism narrative lock, stock, and barrel. And it's really sad because they are saying basically, what else could it be except racism? And that's not appropriate.
Sure.
It's not appropriate because there are reasons that we still have problems that have nothing to do with racism that we're trying to fix. Takes a long time, but stop trying to divide the American people into different camps where we're supposed to be at each other's throats.
Boy, I wish we could actually implement that. It's going to be so nice. And we will. It's a constant battle that we do, but I think we're going to prevail in the end of it. It's Charles Murray, Facing Reality, 2 Truths About Race in America. You can find the book online at counterbooks.com. Charles, I really appreciate the time, my friend. I know you have to run, but let's get you back on the show again here real soon.
Very good. Thanks a lot.
Hey, appreciate that very much. We'll definitely get you back on. I love that conversation. I think that we can continue to expose the other side and actually, work together to be able to move forward in some of these. So, Charles, we appreciate that very much. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll recap 4th of July weekend. We'll get ready for our next guest. We have a lot to get to today on it's already a post-Monday. It's not even a Monday celebration. It's a post-Monday celebration here for the Voice of Reason. Let's get things going, baby. Feeling great, ready to rock and roll. It's going to be a good one. Let's do this thing. It's the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser here on a Tuesday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcast, and doing the thing the way we do every single day. And we appreciate you hanging out with us today as well. HooserReason.com. All of our social media at Hooser Reason as well. So thank you for joining us today. Diane Douglas, she's coming on the show at the bottom of the hour talking about reforming public schools. And are they able to be reformed, or are they just kind of done and we can't do much about them any longer? We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. I realize whether it's the identity politics with the race card, which I hate racism and I hate the identity politics, but we talk about it a lot on the show because we need to expose it to realize how stupid it is so that way we can move past it, which is going to be a very difficult conversation. Not sure if we're ever going to finish it. I think there's always going to be that sect of the world that thinks that that's a cool idea in some way, shape, or form, which is dumb. Others find it as a way to control, which is, I think, the kind of mode we're at right now. They're able to control. They're using pawns to make people get all riled up, to get angry at each other, to create the division for control. And if they're able to control, then things are going to be very well for them and not so well for everybody else. At the same time, I've realized control is kind of the main factor on the other side of the aisle. It's all about control, whether it's personal gain, whether it's controlling other individuals, whether it's controlling a scenario, whether it's controlling an industry. It's all about control. They love control. They're kind of the narcissists of that front. They love to control you. They love to control the scenario. They love to control the environment. Control. Don't worry. We'll take care of it for you. Just give us the power. I got the power. And that's what they're all about, including the COVID-19 as we continue on with this battle, which I'm not going to let up. I don't care. I'm not going to give up this battle about trying to bring another side of the discussion to COVID-19 and this pandemic and the shutdown. Was it worth it? The masks, the vaccines. I'm not going to give up on this. I know it's old news and we've heard about it for the last year and people are sick and tired of hearing about it, but it's important. Because was what happened justified, or are we going to allow it to happen again? We see this spread of the new quote-unquote Delta variant, which makes people very angry and upset, and now they're getting all worried again about because it's more contagious. And therefore, if it's more contagious, then we're all going to die more, right? So I don't care. I don't care. We're going to continue on with that conversation, and we're going to continue to educate and bring an alternative point of view, and then you can make up your own mind based on you want to believe. But now there's talk about control. There's now a controlling pressure growing to vaccinate the quote-unquote anti-vaxxers. This is according to MedicalExpress.com, but a growing number of countries and territories around the world are now trying to force people to get vaccinated against COVID-19, even if they don't want to get vaccinated or they don't need to get vaccinated. They're trying to force them to do so because of the spread of the Delta variant, which, by the way, again, as we talked about last week, is more contagious but less deadly. The COVID-19 virus is like 1.5% death rate. This one's sitting at like a 0.08% death rate, so even less contagious as before. And it, again, only targets specific individuals, which I find kind of intriguing. So do we need to get vaccinated with the Delta variant? And while they're kind of forcing this one, the discussion is coming back again in less than a year. Since the beginning of this year, they're pushing for now businesses trying to mandate the vaccination in order for you to be an employee there, whether you work in customer service, whether you work in sales, whether you work in just an office job. If you don't get vaccinated, you're probably part of the problem. And they're trying to push this. So we'll stay on top of that one. But the pressure grows on anti-vaxxers. They try and make this mandatory. But now it's mandatory at the Vatican. In some of the, which I didn't realize that was its own quote-unquote country, but the Vatican is a rare country imposing vaccinations for all adults. The ex-Soviet other country of Tajikistan, the officials say that they published government decree obliging all 18-year-olds or older to be vaccinated without giving further details. Italy as a country overall. Britain now on June 16th, the British government announced all care home staff in England will be needed to be fully vaccinated. Russia's working on it. The United States is trying to do it. France, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, in some way, shape, or form, trying to force people, not giving the option, but forcing in some way, shape, or form to get vaccinated. When is it going to come to the U.S. and how are they going to implement it here in the United States? Get ready, because it's coming.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the voice of reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
It is a post-Monday celebration. We are rocking through it, the fastest hour of radio on radio, plus TV, plus live streaming, podcasting all over the country, which means you can find us on numerous different radio stations, numerous different TV, and the live stream and podcast as well, which we are still killing it on the podcast downloads. Thank you for that. You can find us at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites, or find the link right there on the website at HooserReason.com. No I in Hooser, Hooser, reason.com. Also on the social media at that same, what is that, the handle? Is that what it's called? At Hooser Reason, the same handle, hashtag, whatever. I don't know. The Millennial General still doesn't know how to do social media, but we're we're making it happen. Welcome back into the program. Let's shift gears a little bit as we talk about unity. The question is, and we talked with our former guest about this, Charles Murray, in the first part of the show, about racism in the country and where we can find this unity, how we start to solve these issues, and it's planting the seeds in the younger generations with proper education to grow up to, love the country, to understand what's going on, to work on the issues, but not create division and hatred, and how we can actually move forward. The question is, can we do that? I want to rephrase that. We can. How much work is it going to take? Because I'm the eternal optimist. I always think that we can always figure out a way to solve things, but is a system too far gone where you have to kind of crumple it up in the wastebasket, throw it away, and start over? And I think a lot of people have really hit that level in certain public education systems across the country. So let's talk about that. What can we do with public education now that we have critical race theory coming out? We've had Common Core we've had to battle. We've had some other issues that are making education kind of frustrating for many parents. Let's just be honest with it. So to talk about that and more, I'm super excited to have on our next guest. She is a former Arizona superintendent of public instruction, also served 2 terms with the Peoria Unified School District Governing Board, including being president a couple of years as well. Excited to have on DIANE Douglas with us here. DIANE, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Andy. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the program. I appreciate that. Let's talk about public education, because I know that drives home for a lot of parents. I'm a parent. I have a 7-year-old daughter right now that's going into 2nd grade this coming up fall semester. And this last year with COVID obviously has been a disaster. We tried to do the homeschooling and the virtual learning for a year, and to get a 7-year-old to study on a laptop for 4 or 5 hours a day was not the best way to actually educate the children. But beyond COVID, let's just set that aside for a second and just look at the school system as a whole, between the Department of Education at the federal level and some of the guidelines they send down in this administrative state that we have, and with the Common Core, and now with this critical race theory. Is public education overall something that we can salvage to fine-tune at the local levels again, or is the entire system pretty much, corruptible to where we just need to start over?
In my opinion, we need to start over. If we want to save our children, our families, and our country, we need to start over again. What most people don't realize is that our public education system, it wasn't a public education system. It was a system of schooling that was very Christian-based, homeschool, run by churches, until, the early, about 1900, 1910, when John Dewey took it over. And they deliberately took over the school system to change our country and to make it, basically bring it into a cultural Marxist viewpoint.
Yeah. I've mentioned it on the program before, but quality of education, graduation rates, and the quality of what we were testing at. I mean, as soon as we created the Department of Education federally, those quality standards started dropping little by little, didn't they?
Well, no, it started long before that. We were tracking it more, I think it's fair to say, after the Federal Department of Education. And one of my big concerns is if we did close the unconstitutional Federal Department of Education, people would think the problem's solved, and it's not even close. I spent almost 30 years trying to fix the education system from the lowest rung in Arizona to the highest rung in Arizona, and what I came to find out as superintendent was that no one wants it fixed. The left wants to continue to indoctrinate our children, and the right just wants job programming. So they want to make our kids little worker bees. Interesting.
I've definitely seen that. I grew up in different areas of the country and seeing a little bit different education system. And some of them, you're right. Some of them, you know what, we have factories in the area. We have agriculture in the area. We have certain, things that are in our area. Let's just kind of hone our education system to make sure that they're just at that level to do that job and then kind of keep them around here as opposed to giving them everything. So that is a fascinating point that I don't think a lot of people focus on.
No, they don't. And we've abandoned true critical thinking, the acquisition of knowledge, wisdom, discernment. That's not what education is about anymore. Yeah. And until we change that, which we won't do through the government education system, because the government education system is doing exactly what it's designed to do, we're not going to get our country back.
It's a great point. How important is it to have the family unit as well? Right now, are we relying too much on the public education system to kind of handle certain topics or certain things? Financial literacy here in the state of Kansas, where we're based out of, we had state legislation come out this year where they tried to mandate a personal finance class that got rejected by Democrats because they didn't want students to do personal finance, and they said that it was up to the school board, the statewide school board, as opposed to legislation from the legislature. Those sorts of things, is that the duty of public education, or is it just because parents are disengaged to teach on the home front and kind of fill in those gaps?
Well, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did parents start giving up their responsibilities because the education system said, hey, trust us, we'll take care of this? Or did they start giving it up? Which came first? And we've sent our mothers out to the workforce because, heck, having a job and paying taxes is more important than raising your children.
You're right. The whole family dynamic has been uplifted completely. Now, are we seeing a different level between, as you mentioned, like charter schools, private schools, Catholic schools or church schools, as opposed to public education? Are we seeing a little bit different graduation rate and or quality standards between all those? And is an argument like school choice or school vouchers, is that going to help solve this issue?
Personally, I believe vouchers is a step in the right direction. The problem is that the government always gets its hooks on the money first, and then they can write the rules and, determine what people can do with it. We found here in Arizona, when Common Core took place, a lot of our parochial schools signed on to it as well.
Wow. That's interesting. I was not aware of that either. We're talking with Diane Douglas, former Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction. Let's talk about theoretically, which I don't think would ever happen because it is far-fetched, and once you create a government program, it doesn't go away. But let's just say theoretically, we're able to dismantle the Federal Department of Education. We bring it back down to the local levels to make all the decisions, which is what conservatives want on the right side of the aisle politically here. That, as you mentioned, that's just the start of it, because if we do something like that, then parents need to be engaged, or at least go for the school board or talk to the teachers or work hand in hand. That's just the start of the argument in the fight, isn't it?
Well, and I think we're seeing that fight take place right now. For a long time, parents were not engaged as they should be. Or I heard this just last week or the week before at a luncheon. We're talking about critical race theory and all those things currently going on, and the parents said, "Oh, yeah, that stuff is terrible. That's awful." Oh, but it's not happening at my child's school.
Yeah.
Oh, you bet it is.
Yeah. Well, that's my next question. I mean, how involved are parents now in being aware of this? Is it getting? I think it is getting better, as you mentioned, where we're actually showing up to school boards and saying, "Wait a second, what are you teaching our kids?" And no, that's not acceptable, or we do want you to teach X, Y, and Z. It's getting better. It's just not there yet.
Well, and it's not going to change, because the problem is a lot of the resources that they bring in for the classroom, they're endless possibilities. It used to be back in the day, a million years ago, when I was in school, whatever grade you were in, whatever subject it was, there was a textbook and that was it. And it went home and parents saw what was in it. Now there's so many electronic resources, and teachers can pick and choose and use anything they want.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, we don't get to see it nearly as much. And now we're building apps on the laptop and on the notepad, as opposed to bringing the book home and actually studying that one, which is, I'm going to have a hard time keeping up with my daughter's education on there, because I have no idea what she's learning on that front. Last question for you before we let you go, Diane Douglas, but let's talk about homeschooling, because we've considered that. Mrs. Voice of Reason and I have thought about homeschooling as well. Is that an option? Is that getting more popular? And is that maybe a better high quality standard too? Or is that still controlled by what the government's allowing us to teach our children?
It depends what state you're in. In Arizona, we have a lot of freedom to homeschool as we see fit. All we have to do is tell the government we've withdrawn our child. I work with an organization called publicschoolexit.com, and they have tons of resources there for parents that would want to homeschool. There's another great book that parents need to get, a magazine called Save Our Children from the New American. And if they can go on, and with a code Educate19, they can get an edition with no shipping and handling charge. And this is so important for them to understand what has become of our nation's schools.
I love it. Publicschoolexit.com. I just went to the website to check that out as well, so I appreciate that resource. Diane, we're out of time, my friend, but let's get you back on the show again soon. This is a great topic. I'd love to get you on and chat again.
Anytime.
Hey,
glad to, Andy.
Yeah, appreciate that very much. A huge issue as we continue to reform, or at least try to fix, or at least take some control back into our own hands with public education. Publicschoolexit.com. We'll take a break, wrap up the show today for a Tuesday. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back in. A few minutes. I can't talk today. It's a Tuesday. Good golly. A few minutes left of the program. Thanks again to Diane coming on the program talking about reforming public schools. I am going into this month, the month of July, the second half of 2021, extremely optimistic. Andy, what do you mean? I know we still have Joe Biden in there as president. I know that we still have some shenanigans to work through, and there's some really stupid going on in the world today. I know that. But it's always going to be there, and the big question is, can we overcome that? And education, I think, is a big one that we're going to focus on. There are a few topics that are really driving home to me and really resonating with me lately that I think we're going to focus a lot of time on this program, and that is the identity politics, that is COVID, that is education, along with other current events as well. Of course, we're just not going to just regurgitate over and over and over, but those are really, really important topics as we look towards the future, man. Look towards the future, what's coming up, because talk radio kind of gets into this box every once in a while to where we end up complaining more than we come up with solutions. And we don't want to do that. The whole point of talk radio is to educate and entertain, to make you entertained so that way you want to keep coming back to the program and coming back to the individual host, whatever that host may be. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But we do it in an entertaining way, but we want to educate to really drive home new talking points, to learn something new, to expand the mind, to expand the thought process, to maybe look at things just a little bit different way. And it's not just conservatism, but it's all over the board for the wide span of Republicans, Democrats, conservative, liberal, whatever. Can we expand our mind and at least understand talking points, or maybe think about something just a little bit differently? That is my goal with this program. So we're going to focus on those, but educating the youth of America, the young children that are coming up, that are learning that the country's bad, critical race theory, that the founding fathers are evil. I mean, the stuff that they're learning today is what we have to counter. So this is going to be the platform to do that, which is why I think we need to focus a lot of time on education. And guess what? We can overcome it. We can overcome what the local school districts are trying to do. We can overcome what the Department of Education is trying to do. And we can do that as parents of children. As the Department of Education tries to implement maybe critical race theory or Common Core education or tries to give more money to the administrative state, we can turn around and say, we're going to do it our own. And we can either do homeschooling. We can put them in different schools and fight legislation in our states, wherever you may be over the nation, for voucher programs or for education savings accounts, which are essentially the same thing, or more choice to where just because you live in a certain area doesn't mean you have to take those children to that school, but you actually can drive your kid to other schools as well. We can work to, I know it's difficult because now with the economy and with inflation, with the devaluing of the dollar, we have to work numerous jobs. We have to have both parents out working, and it takes away from the children. But guess what? We will overcome that. It's kind of like the inspirational story of the athlete, to where they put in the extra hours. They sleep 2-3 hours a night. They work out every day. They take all the vitamins. They take every fight they possibly can, or they're, in there practicing every single day to try and get on the major league team. You have to do that with your children. It's a constant battle. It's a constant fight. And no matter what challenges they put in front of you, you jump them hurdles. And whether it is working 2 jobs and coming home and then trying to help your kid with your homework, do that. It sucks. You're tired, but guess what? If you can do it now, then we can get a better education. We can raise a better generation, seeing the hard work that goes into it, learning about the hard work that goes into it, and then getting a better job that makes more money, and you can retire earlier. You can do whatever you want to, if that's your goal. The point is that we can always overcome. I don't care how challenging it is. I don't care how much it sucks. I don't care how difficult it is. I accept those challenges because I will not let the tyrants tell us what to do. I will not allow them to create a scenario to where I am a victim and I can't, and they put that glass ceiling over me. I will not allow that. We will always do it on our own. We will always figure out a way. We will always do it ourselves because that's what we do. We're Americans. We don't allow anybody to control us in that front. So that's what this program is going to be here for, and I'm super excited about it. So get ready. Buckle in, because 2021, the second half of 2021 is going to be outstanding here on this program, with a lot of new guests and a lot more content that we're going to have talking about ways to fix things instead of just complaining about what's actually wrong, which we don't usually do on this program anyways, because we usually try to come up with solutions, but at least, we'll give some more ideas. Be the catalyst to change. That's what we're all about, right? The catalyst. Trying to bring that change and create 2021, boot that Joe Biden guy out of office and have some fun doing it. What do you say? Are you with me? Become a Hoosier-holic. Let's do that together. HoosierReason.com. That's my nice little plug for the day. Until then, be your own voice of reason. As always, it's time for you to be that voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, back at it. We have a laundry list of awesome guests all week long for a Wednesday, tomorrow, and beyond. So get ready for that one. It's just going to be a fun week here on the show. I'm Andy Hooser. This is the Voice of Reason. Everyone have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Let's celebrate. Shoot off those last little bit of fireworks if you can. And let's enjoy the sweet taste of freedom that some just don't want us to have. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links